Welcome to Citizens Report. I'm your host, Patty Ceppa, Vice President of the Radnor Citizens Police Organization. Radnor Township is officially in the green phase for the COVID-19 virus. Let's discuss what that means to all of us. Here today to help us sort all of this out are my guest, Sergeant Chris Gluck with the Radnor Township Police Department. Also joining us is Todd. Chris Todd is the president of the Wayne Business Association, and he's also a local businessman with two restaurants called Christopher's. They're in downtown Wayne and in Malvern. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
I wanted to start off with some statistics for the viewers, the most latest statistics, just to put things in perspective, even though we are in the green phase. As of Friday, this past Friday, Delaware County is reporting 7,165 cases, 696 deaths, and 34,500 negative results. Of the 7,165 cases, 2,386 are nursing home and long-term facility residents. Radnor Township accounts for 0.6% of the population with the virus in the entire Delaware County. This was sourced from Radnor Patch. The interesting part about this is the age demographics for coronavirus cases in Delaware County have a big range, and you'll be able to see this on the screen. You'll see the age on the left and the amount of cases on the right. I hope that helps to put things in perspectives for our community. Chris Todd, why don't I start with you? As things are reopening, let's talk about some of the challenges that we are facing as everything opens.
Yes, challenges. Yeah, there's many of them. I'd say the number one challenge right now for everybody is wearing masks. Honestly, it's people should remember, whether you agree with it or not, that Governor Wolf has asked everybody to wear masks when you enter any business. So if you care about that business and you're trying to support it, a big help would be just wearing the mask and not putting it on us to police everything. But on that, there's hundreds of different challenges now. So whether staffing is one, whether people feel safe to open, as store owners feel safe to let people in the store yet, is another one. In Wayne in general, you could, on any given night, the restaurants outside, people seem not to be worried about dining outside, or they definitely feel safer. This weekend, for instance, we opened up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday inside. I think we had 2 tables inside on Friday, maybe 4 or 5 on Sunday or Saturday, and a few more on Sunday. So people are going to get used to it, but it's going to take a lot of time. People don't feel comfortable at this point. They're not running back to dine inside, from what I've seen.
And can you expand a little bit about the staffing? When you indicated, is it that you have too much staff and not enough work for them, or that staff don't want to come to work because of the virus?
I want to say a little bit of both, but no, we're not able to get full staff back up yet. Actually, a gentleman asked why we didn't make Eggs Benedict this Sunday. I'm like, because I don't have enough people today. I don't have time to make holiday sauce. But next Sunday we will. Don't worry. It's a little bit of both. We're starting to see people that didn't want to work with the public. They're starting to call and say, "Hey, I'm ready to come back to work since we're in the green phase." They're starting to feel a little more comfortable. At Christopher's, we feel like we've made it's pretty safe. I mean, it's hard to social distance properly at any restaurant, but our staff wears masks. We are going through a lot of sanitizer. Not that we did before, but everything is getting wiped down with sanitizer now, all the time. One instance, we have a to-go menu, or they're throwaway menus now, so that helps. Outside dining is working, but getting some people back. We're not up to 7 days worth of staff yet.
Do you think, as the president of the Wayne Business Association, is it doing anything or implementing anything to help the businesses get up and running? Or are you just in a joint effort together to get things reopened and up and running?
Well, I mean, the WBA's, if a business was open or had something going on, we promoted it. We've talked with Radnor Township over various events over the past months and communicated with the businesses. We've also communicated, we've talked about parking. The Wayne Picnic Grove tent was a between the township and the WBA, and holding meetings and that sort of thing. You know, it's just not restaurants in Wayne. There's also retailers who have finally been able to reopen their stores. So I know they're very excited, and they want people to come back as well. So getting the word out about who's open and what's going on has definitely been a big thing the WBA has been doing.
That's terrific. Sergeant Gluck, why don't you expand a little bit about, from the police department perspective, what is now the biggest challenge, and have you changed a lot of things? Any different rules, any different protocols? Talk me through what it's going to be like now.
So we moved into the green phase as of 12:01 a.m. on June 26th, which was Friday. The township itself was, in the yellow phase, we had our building open with what we call interim protocols, so we could still provide service to the township and the community. Challenges in terms of emergency response came to, officers making sure they wear masks, making sure they use disinfectant, just like Chris does, constantly on themselves and their patrol vehicles. When you go through a shift here, you're on a 12-hour shift and you're sharing a car with 4 other officers. So, we have to make sure the cars are clean, taken care of. If there is something that we suspect may have been an exposure of some point, which thankfully we haven't had yet, there's a system called, it's a fogging system, where we would clean out that entire vehicle just to be sure as a precautionary measure. Challenges we see in the public was basically our parks and our trails, and folks not distancing. And by all means, we want our businesses to succeed as much as possible. But when you see folks gathering in a single point, you do want to educate them. The green phase is still a phase. We still want folks to understand that we're not out of the COVID situation yet. We have things that we have to do in order to work together and get out of this whole health event. The challenges, and I'll just go back to the trails, we have probably close to a couple miles worth of smaller trails down in the southern portion of our township. And even on a good day, it's really hard to pass another person without either brushing shoulders or backing up to a tree so they can get by. And then on our larger trail, which is the most popular one over here off of Conestoga Road, it runs parallel to it. You are within a 6-foot distance of other folks. And when this all started, we had the challenge of, it's a popular trail. I mean, we had folks from Chester County, Montgomery County, they all use that same trail and they come here. And we also noticed that Chester County, Montgomery County, and Delaware County were showing high numbers of COVID cases. So, we made the hard decision based upon facts given to us by the CDC, the Department of Health, Delaware County, the state itself, to close those for a period of time. I think it was just shy of a month. But we also had to put signage out just to remind folks it's important that we follow those guidelines and those efforts that were put out by the Department of Health to, wash your hands, stay away from each other with 6-foot distances, and to wear your mask, just like Chris said. It's important that you wear that mask because, as the Secretary of Health always says, my mask protects you, your mask protects me. And during a health event where there are, different symptoms that range like, a vast quantity of symptoms that could show up between 2 days and 14 days, it's important that we look out for one another.
That's a good point. And when you see the citizens in the community, and I don't want to say violating, but being within 6 feet of each other, not wearing the mask, I mean, are these things that you give out citations for, or you said the word educate? Are you trying to educate the individuals, or how does that work?
So we'd rather not, issue a citation for it. It's obviously something folks want to get out. They've been stuck in their houses for a long time, and I get that too. I have 3 young kids. It's not easy, to be honest with you, but you do have to remember to be careful. So we had instances where folks were going to a certain park for a period of time. We basically would go up and just remind them would give them a copy of the CDC guidelines to say, hey guys, just so you know, this is why you have to be careful. These are the guidance that they've issued to us. And we just want to make sure that you're safe. And we would rather take the steps to educate than, issue a citation in any way, shape, or form.
And is there anything Radnor Township Police are doing to help the businesses? I remember you had a little bit, the parking was a little bit relaxed. Is
Sure.
that still in the green phase as well, or not anymore?
Parking is still relaxed at this time. And then in that joint operation we did with the Wayne Business Association building the Picnic Grove tent, we basically threw up and said, the parking is going to be enforced for 2 hours. That way we can get people flowing in and out of Wayne. We can get folks to come, do takeout, go over to the tent, enjoy their time. We can get folks to go sit the outdoor dining that we had. And then as of Friday, like Chris said, we can now go to indoor dining at 50% capacity. But we want that turnover. So we're trying to do the 2-hour parking as best we can. And we haven't made a decision as to changing the parking enforcement as of yet. It is still going to be relaxed. But just know that we do want folks to take and respect the fact that these businesses are trying their best to stay open. So the 2-hour window is really important.
That's a great point. I want to go back to Chris Todd, if you don't mind for a minute. I had read somewhere about the Delaware County Delco Strong Small Business Support Program. Is this something of assistance to our businesses in downtown Wayne? Have you heard of this?
Yeah, without a doubt. It's actually a very valuable tool. The WBA shared a lot of their information with the businesses. I think their link is on our website, Deanna Doan website. So she knows more about that than I do. I actually was asked to sit on that, and I was not able to. I missed 2 Zoom meetings, so I told them I wasn't able to sit on it. But they are doing a great job, and there is a lot of information there. So
that's great. That's great. Will you talk a little bit about the Picnic Grove? Is that something where people just take out food and walk over to it? Or do they sit down and they get served out there?
No. So that's it's a picnic grove. It's a public picnic grove. So the point of it is that people could order takeout food and go over there, sit over there and eat, because we only had outside tables. So if there's an overabundance of people waiting, it was get them over there. The tables are 6 feet apart. They're socially distanced. They're sanitized on the tables, and there's a cleaner there that cleans up and sanitizes everything at all hours. So it's as safe as possible. It's open air, and on a 90-degree day, it is definitely cooler under that tent. So, and 118 North has been playing music out their windows. So it's actually it's brought a bunch of people to the area, and gives everybody a little hope that things are getting better. So.
Terrific. And Sergeant Gluck, if things are not the way that they're supposed to be and residents see some situation, should they be calling the police department? Should they call the health department?
Well, in terms of distancing issues, if you have a problem, it depends on the situation at hand. If it involves the restaurants in a matter of distancing for folks that are staying there with different tables and things like that, you can call our health department. Marie Carbonera is our health officer, and she's extension 167 here at the Township building. If there's an issue here at a different location that's in general, you can call the police department. It'll probably end up coming back to me, and I'll sit down and review what's going on and probably discuss it with our health officer as to what outcome we can do. If it's a job site, it'll probably end up in our engineering or community development department. So ultimately, it'll probably come back to me in the emergency management office, but you can call the police, you can call the health officer, and we can get that information to the right place.
Okay, great. A lot of the residents want to know about the 4th of July. I wanted to go to both of you because I know Radnor was really trying to have this for the residents. I think the residents should know this, that you were trying to have them. But can you touch a little bit about that? How the decision went and which direction it is, if we're going to have them or not?
Sure. So unfortunately, we won't be having the fireworks this year. As you know, previous years it was at the high school, and that has not been happening in previous years as well. The plan was, it was thrown together at the last minute, and we really tried our best on the township and the Wayne Business Association side to plan it out as best we could. But when you think about it, you're in the green phase, you can only have 250 people at a time together in a gathering. Wayne is a very popular spot, and we get folks from all over. And with the restaurants being open and doing a great job as well, we knew there was going to be likely to get more than 250 people. And when there's already a large amount of folks, I believe it's 100, that can use the Picnic Grove tent at this time. So you're already going about almost halfway there. If we started to have the fireworks, we probably would have had a very large amount of people gathered together beyond that 250 person count. And we as a team, decided it's probably best if we played it safe. We're still in this green phase. We don't want to shift back to the yellow. And we certainly don't want our township being the one that the governor calls out in a press conference and says, we have an issue with an outbreak in Radnor Township, specifically the Wayne area. We'd rather have folks healthy and happy, and we can all get together the 4th of July as time goes on in the years to come.
This is a different subject, but it's something that's been all over the news recently, and I'm catching you off guard here, but, they're talking about the fireworks and PST, the post-traumatic stress disorder. Let alone I have a dog, and I know the same thing happens with the dogs. They get petrified. But this seems to be going on and on as a big issue for the fireworks. But that didn't come into play at all, correct, with this? This is, no. Okay.
That wasn't something that came to our attention. Obviously, it's something we take into consideration when we do plan something like that. We do put information out to say, hey, fireworks are happening at this hour, at this location. And we obviously want to make sure everybody's safe. We want to put information out there so they can take precautions and be prepared for something like that. PTSD is a very serious situation, and we want people to be safe. And we consider everybody when we make events and plans to see it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And could you tell us a little bit about, if you know of any knowledge about like sports and youth sports and how for the fall, if you have any knowledge about that, if that's going to occur?
Sure. So the Chester County Department of Health has been covering both Chester County and Delaware County, because Delaware County does not have a health department per se. They have some folks that handle some health issues, but they don't have a large enough group to handle this whole COVID situation. So they have put out guidelines, I believe, as of Friday, I want to say. Let's see. Thursday, the organized sports and athletics, which you can definitely find on Chester County Health Department's webpage. Those folks have put out guidance which says they still need to practice social distancing at 6 feet. So coaches and players need to keep their distance from one another. They also would like them to wear masks at all times unless it prevents their breathing, which is an important point. We don't want anybody hyperventilating or getting overheated just because they're trying to work out or trying to play in a sport. They would rather you did outdoor sports as opposed to indoor if possible. They're not saying that's against that. But there's also other things that are in place where you might go through some screening. You'll get your temperature checked, or you'll get told if you don't feel good today, stay home if you're sick. And then you also have to look out for the symptoms as well when you get the same monitoring and screening when they show up to their organized sports and practices. But they're also trying to gear it towards, say you have a game like basketball or something like that. Your practice may be more skill-based and exercise-based as opposed to team effort-based. But as time goes on, I'm sure they'll loosen the restrictions as we see how things change and hopefully get out of the green phase and back to somewhat normal. But those guidelines are out there based upon Chester County Department of Health.
Okay. And did they say anything about the spectators, if they're allowed in the gyms, if that occurs?
For the most part, they are not permitted inside, but that's also a part of what the facility does. They have to do some cleaning inside the facility between games or practices. So depending on whether they can have folks in there is up to the facility and the Department of Health's guidelines.
Okay. And back to Chris Todd, would you say the amount of businesses in Wayne, what percentage are open now, not just restaurants?
I don't know the percentage. I know on North Wayne Avenue, out there, Outfitters, the bookstore, Kids and Cribs, they're all open. All the eye stores, ophthalmologists, right? Ophthalmologists. They're all functioning now. We before this, we had a lot of stores leaving already.
Right.
For various reasons. So, Wayne still, before all this happened, we were really working and trying to come up with a system along with the township to get out to landlords what kind of stores would work in Wayne, so they can be replaced. But obviously that was put on hold. So now I think everybody's on it's a whole different playing field now. To go back to planning along with with the fireworks and events. So a lot the biggest question that we're dealing with, Northwind Avenue is a state road. So to close a state road for an event, it takes a lot of work and a lot of planning and a lot of money, sponsorship. So all of that's on hold. Everything that we've done with the township and talked about, whether it's fireworks or July 4th event or in the very beginning, we tried to do a drive-in movie. At the end of the day, we don't want to bring a lot of people to the street in a huge group. Again, to one, the chance of people getting sick and bad publicity. The town doesn't need it. And actually, Officer Gluck said it the best. Green phase is still a phase. Like I've always said, green means go. It doesn't mean go. It means it's another phase of businesses that are, there's restrictions, restricted business potential. So we're going to see how it goes. I mean, I think Wayne's a great community. They've really supported the businesses so far. We're going to keep doing it and see what new businesses are going to pop up. So.
Okay, yeah, that's I've noticed that about the closings. It was before the virus even. So we hope some good stores come in for sure and some good businesses. And as far as, I guess I'll throw it out to both of you, as far as what can the citizens do? I think you've said pretty much that, that you want them to wear the mask, et cetera, but what's the best that the items that the citizens can actually do?
At home, but they just, to know what's going on almost, to know the restrictions, to be aware that even if they don't agree with what wearing a mask and that stuff, other people do. So it's kind of just being humble to everybody. And, you just got to, wear masks. So that's the key right now. Wash your hands a lot.
Yeah, and Sergeant Gluck, I think you said the same, correct? If the citizens just abide by the rules.
Yeah, it basically just respect one another. I mean, the guidance is out there for a reason. We have an understanding that, there are certain things we have to do together as a team in order to get through this. It's important that we follow whatever guidance we can. Wash your hands. If you can, stay away from each other at 6 foot distances. Wear your mask. And, I'm sure it's not easy, Chris, at the restaurant when you have folks, some of them are in there and yes, you don't have to wear your mask while you're eating, but be respectful when you have to go use the restroom. Go ahead. You have to walk past staff. You have to use doors. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. Do the best you can to help one another out and just be aware. There's a lot going on. 2020 has been quite the year. So let's stick together and do the best we can.
Terrific. Well, we are running out of time. So Chris, Todd, and Sergeant Gluck, thank you so much for being here today. And I do want to say to the residents, support the businesses. Go get takeout if you don't feel comfortable going in the restaurant. Thank you to the Radnor Police Department for all you are doing for us as well. If you would like to find out anything about my organization, the Radnor Citizens Police Organization, you can contact the emails contact@radnorcitizenspolice.org. But please go support the businesses and thank you for watching.